I am Ronaldo Salgado, the oldest son of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. I want to tell you about my dad. He was a hard-working family man who never wanted his name to be known by anyone outside of his family. He wanted nothing else in life but to provide for his wife and see his sons become great people. He was also a man of routine. For the majority of the last 35 years of his life in the United States, he began the day the same way and always ended it by coming home, sitting on the porch, eating a hearty meal made by my mother, going to sleep, and doing it all over again the next day. Let me tell you about my father's last day alive, with as much detail as possible, because it's vividly replaying in my head over and over again. At 5 a.m., my mom and dad woke up before the rest of the world did. My dad brushed his teeth, he showered. My mom cooked him a huge meal for him to eat that day. At 5:50, my dad got dressed, grabbed his lunch and coffee, hugged and kissed my mom goodbye, slipped on his hat for the day, loaded his lunch, his work boots, his coffee, in his work van. He patted our dog on his head goodbye and drove off to pick up his crew for work. At 6:45 a.m., he should have been picking up the last of his guys before heading to North Houston to finish up construction on some houses. 5 minutes later, unbeknownst to me at 6:55, unbeknownst to all of us, my dad had been shot inside his van near the intersection of Wayside and Canal by ICE agents in unmarked cars. I want to tell you about my day. Around 7 a.m., I was notified by my mom that something bad had happened to my dad. We didn't know what. All we knew is that it was ICE related. At 7:05, 5 minutes after, I left the house, drove all the way up to his work site an hour away to find any evidence of his van. Had he had been detained by ICE, he would have wanted the van to be delivered to the work site so that the other workers that were there could finish up the houses and the families could get paid. By 8 a.m., after not finding any evidence, I saw a Facebook post on the Southeast Houston Facebook page about ICE activity on the intersection of Wayside and Canal. It's a place where I've called home. The East End has been our home. I live not too far away from there, so I'm familiar with the area. I didn't think it was him, but I had to make sure. By 8:35 a.m., I arrived in the East End to find Canal Street blocked off. I saw my dad's van, but no sign of him. I frantically called family, friends, loved ones to see if they can find any information. I saw a video posted on Facebook that he had been shot. I recognized him immediately. Not from his appearance, but from his voice, crying for help as he lay on the street, bleeding out. I stayed on site for hours, talking to officers or anyone who can give me any answers. I encountered a representative from LULAC, Conchita Reyes, who got in contact with Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia to confirm that my dad, Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, had been taken to Bentop Hospital, but his condition was unknown. With all the hope in the world, I drove to Bentop Hospital, the hospital that I was born in, my brother Lorenzo Jr. was born in, and my youngest was born in. I went to Bentop Hospital and demanded answers, but no one could give them to me. I learned of my father's passing from a news report on social media, not the hospital, not law enforcement. Through a collective effort from local organizations and elected officials, we got answers. My father's death was confirmed. I had to call my mom right away to give her the terrible news of my dad's passing before she had to find out the same way I did. My father was a simple man, a family man, a man of routine. He dedicated his life in the United States to giving his family the American dream. He raised my brothers and I on the idea of education taking us so far in life. So through his hard work and inspiration, he saw me attend the University of Houston and graduate from there. Saw Lorenzo Jr. attend and graduate Tufts University in Boston. And my youngest, who is out of state, who goes to college out of state, who still relied on my father for financial assistance for his tuition. All of us are, all three brothers, All three of his sons, American citizens, his pride and joy, highly educated. After nearly 35 years of working to give us the American dream, he made the choice to begin the process of obtaining his American dream through a work permit. We dotted every I, crossed every T, filled every document, attended every appointment. He was close to obtaining his legal status. My father was a private man, a man who dedicated his life to work. He worked the last 30 years of his life building homes in the Houston suburbs. Part of his dream was to build a house for himself and his family, just like the hundreds he had built for himself over his career. One that he could call home. One that he can call ours, our home. And he did. After he built his own house with his crew, composed of family members and other loved ones, he achieved it. After it was built and up until last weekend, you can find him every evening after work, resting on his porch, listening to music, petting his dog. That's how I want the world to know my father. Not as someone who got shot and killed, but as a family man, a man who understood that good things come to those who put in hard work. I am deeply heartbroken to see that the man who taught me the value of hard work, family values, and education will no longer spend an evening on that porch. I am calling for a full investigation into the events that transpired yesterday, July 7th. He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be reduced to a headline of Mexican man shot and killed by ICE. He deserved to live a quiet life as Ronaldo Salgado Araujo, a husband, a father, and a job creator for dozens of men who also wanted the American dream. I would be doing his memory a disservice if I didn't recognize the other three men who were with him, one of which was my uncle. All three men were rounded up. I have not heard from them, but I hope that they are able to provide their own statements to prove that my father, feared for his life as unmarked cars followed my dad, who only wanted to get back to work and back to us.